live from Riga
Yes,
on a
indeed.
Friday morning. Two PKs. I'm Jeff,
And I'm Dallas,
and it's
and we are.
Dallas.
There I go again, just chopping that right off. Still get the copyright hit though. We don't have to
Yeah,
worry about that. We'll still get
yeah.
that.
Someday you'll get the fade out. Someday you
Yeah.
get the fade out. Yeah, I don't get fair use. All right, so Dallas, it's Friday. We don't usually meet on Friday, but here we
hmm
are. Kind
Yeah,
of a
lots of extreme stuff taking place.
yeah.
Figure we'd
We
have
got
to
to get
come in and pipe in on it a little bit. Um,
yes. So, and I want to start today with a new segment. I'm
mhm.
calling 10 questions for Dallas.
Okay, excellent.
So this is going to be 10 questions for Dallas that he doesn't know what the questions are. And he just has to say, like, give a quick answer. Yes, no, no big long speeches. You can elaborate later on whatever you want, but just right now it's just 10 questions. And I just want your quick fire it answer. You ready?
Yeah,
All right, we'll start with a softball. Who killed Charlie Kirk, left, right, or other?
other.
Number two, was the Trump speech AI?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
DN was it? don't know. Okay, three. Did Trump have a stroke on 9/11?
The images that we saw certainly look like that was a
Yes or
stroke
no?
victim. Oh yeah.
Yes. You're
Um,
going with the yes.
I
Yeah.
well, we saw one image, but then we saw another one, and and he looked totally fine, right?
Yeah.
So
So,
I don't know.
all right. Number
Again,
four. How did you observe the 24th anniversary of the September 11th attacks?
hmm. Um, by Googling building number 7.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, yeah. I was because I was wanting to remind myself. That was the one that the BBC announced because there was some Reuters report
Yeah,
or something, and
I
they
know.
announced it
I've
before it
yeah.
was
We'll get there.
controlled
We'll get there.
demolition.
Hold on. I gotta
Yeah,
keep going. Number five, Dallas. Serious question. Are you in the Epstein files?
I hope not.
Okay, good answer. Number six, serious question. Did Russia provoke Poland on purpose with 19 drones?
Um, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Number seven,
To
can we talk about Israel?
sure.
We can. Okay. Number eight, is America a safe place?
No.
Number nine, did we land on the moon?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you in the
Oh,
60s?
yeah.
No.
Oh. I like that. Let's clever. Let's elaborate on that. And number 10, Dallas, are you feeling okay today?
Feeling great, Jeff. Feeling great.
Let's see.
I
You
hope you
sound
are.
great. You sound like you're in a good mood despite all the strangeness of
Well,
everything.
it's a good day to be alive. Any day is, and I like. There's nothing that makes you appreciate your own life with seeing someone else's taken in such a dramatic way, right? I
Oh
mean,
my gosh, you just went right there, didn't you?
I'm just saying, like, no matter what side of the political equation you're on, like, you see something like that, it's gonna make you appreciate your own life, right? And like taking another breath, even. It's like the whole idea of like you're not promised tomorrow or it could happen at any second. Like that was extreme version of that.
Yeah, that was I guess that's a way to frame it. I've been a friend of mine from the US. He on Facebook he tried to kind of provoke me into a conversation about this and I didn't answer him on Facebook. I just wrote him a private message because he wanted to know, what do you think about this Charlie Kirk thing? And I didn't. I'm still processing it, quite honestly. So for those of you who don't know, we're in Latvia and we're 7 hours ahead, like 9 hours ahead of Utah, I suppose. And so it was about midnight. No, it wasn't that late. It's about 11
Yeah.
when I saw the news came
hmm
that something had happened. So I'm on my feeds. I'm checking it out on Reels and Instagram and Twitter and just kind of seeing what's going on. And I couldn't sleep until I found out like what happen. Like I
Hmm.
needed closure on something before I could even go to sleep. I had the 19 drones from Poland. I got this, and then all of a sudden Charlie Kirk thing happens. And it's just like my brain is just going, and I couldn't sleep. So I was just
Hmm.
still processing and processing. Like, what was that feeling? Like, why was I so shocked? And maybe that's a big part of it. Is just the death of a human being, to see it like you're there, you're not there in a moment. This is one of my uh young people I'm friends with here in Latvia said this was their Kennedy moment, like
Hmm.
their this moment where the assassination happened and they saw the death of a person,
Right.
famous person, right in front of the
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, like it's almost like ritualistic or something, right? To do it in front of that many people. And I think that's why it's having the effect that it is. If it was just some sideshow situation, right, or some scuffle, or somewhere like what happened to the big balls guy in Washington D.C. You know what I'm saying? If it was something like that, it wouldn't have been as dramatic, I guess you'd say. But for that to be happening in front of a crowd, and then someone who's already so um, popular, and
yeah,
makes his bones out of controversy and um, inciting some of the worst um, traits in people, but also like representing so many different people that again, it's like it doesn't matter what you think or what you believe. If enough other people do, it's going to be a problem that you're going to have to deal with one way or the other. Um, and
yeah,
yeah, like for me, it's like last week I was saying that it was coming, and it came, you know?
yeah. So you felt like this was some kind of inevitable moment, yeah?
Sort of. I guess what I'm saying is that like we don't really have all the answers to that situation with that, right? And
Oh, of
that it
course, yeah,
happened
we're
in
not going to have
Utah,
answers.
that it happened in very friendly circumstances, very insecure um, security situation,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and if you were at a situation like that and you saw a sniper on the roof, you might think that was part of security. And
Yeah, it's
right?
apparently there's videos of it and these people
Yeah.
saw it and everything.
And
So
you
I
just
was
wouldn't.
remembering,
Mhm.
I was just thinking about the this debate that you were in last year about the Trump, the election, the
Mhm.
Harris Trump election. And on stage, there were like five of you, I think, talking about your various given answers. And the most shocking answer to me that stayed with me, I don't remember what you guys talked about every detail, but the one detail I'd never forget, and I still talk about to this day, was the one woman who was going to vote for Donald Trump. She was a young lady from the United States living here in Latvia, and she was very much this right. You could just tell this Christian conservative kind of
She
mindset
was the daughter of an Australian
of
immigrant
an immigrant, and
and
yet
had
she was
had
against.
had grown up on Georgia peach care
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
helped
yeah,
getting
yeah.
state health
All the
care
things,
from the
all
state
the
of
things,
Georgia in the United
and
States
then
as an
yeah,
Australian.
and then one of the questions toward the end was, "Where do you get your information from?" And we went down the line, and it was like you guys were all like, various sources, multiple sources, this and that.
Hmm.
And then she started off by saying, "I don't trust the media." And then I think the moderator kind of pushed back and said, "So what? Where do you get your information from?" And her answer is Charlie Kirk.
Hmm.
That was her answer to the question: Where does she get her information about
Right.
news, about the world,
A
from
Gen
one
Z, a
human
Gen
being?
Z,
Yeah, a Gen Z, a
like
young
a
woman.
girl of
Yeah,
privilege, I would say. I would say
yeah,
she was a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
privilege. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where that was her sole named source of information,
Hmm.
not CNN, not Fox News, not some actual media source. One human being
Not Twitter
giving
or
her,
X
like,
or
no,
yeah.
no, just directly feeding her, like
Hmm.
line for line, like, this is what
Hmm.
I believe, this is what I think. And people have been showing lots of videos of the horrible things he said. I mean, right before he got shot, it was are you including gang violence in that equation or whatever? And then he dies, like saying something hateful in the moment of his death.
And it's a very meta thing, and I think that like that's where like we don't have a lot of the answers of what the actual origin or the source behind, and the reasoning behind this is. Um, and then like with anything else, the authorities will give it to us, and then everybody's got to debate one way or the other if that's
Yeah, yeah,
reality
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. So we can't really have the full truth to be known, I guess you
Yeah.
would say. Um, but
I gotta,
like
I gotta, I gotta ask you a question, Dallas, because I know this is on everybody's minds who's watching this video. Is what are you wearing, man? Is that a spacesuit? Are you
it is, it's part
trying
of
out
it.
for some?
Well, this is my Arctic soldier, Arctic
Oh,
soldier.
joining the
Um,
Alpine troops in
where this
Finland,
is
or
my snow layer, and what it is
yeah,
one of those fishing suits, right? So for the wind and for sun, but it's ginormous. It's
yeah,
extra large, and but
yeah.
I found it in the bargain bin for like €5 or something
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, and yeah, and so I wanted to get it, and this is how big the I can put it up over me like this, and then it's totally
So, oh,
down
so
this way,
Dallas,
or
why are you wearing it
I
now?
could go up this way. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Um,
Can you do the scary alien thing where you pull the bottom up and the top over?
I- oh yeah, like
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
that's what
this is
yeah,
yeah,
it's
and then just your glasses. Oh, geez, that is yeah. You
yeah,
make that green, and then you can do the green suit thing. Yeah, that's
yeah,
creepy.
yeah.
Walk around
Well,
with that.
that's uh-oh, wrong thing. Um, yeah, the so but at this moment, I would say it's just a little more of a ceremonial robe for our show today.
Okay, so I wanted to share this with you. Can you see it? Do we see it on the screen now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Dallas, I want to share this with you. I know you said you hadn't seen this video, so I just wanted to show you a little bit. This is Donald Trump giving a speech right after they found out Charlie Kirk had died the night of. And a lot of people are speculating that this is AI, some AI generated something. And so I wanted to show you the part where people are talking about where his pinky kind of disappears at
Hmm.
15 seconds, I think it is. So we'll let it play for a second and just watch the pinky on his left hand. Uh, I don't know. I don't know
Okay.
what it is. I just know he looks way different here than he did the next day at the 9/11 ceremony.
Hmm.
This is like the old firebrand Donald Trump orange face guy.
Good
And
hair.
then yeah, yeah, good hair. Yeah. All right, one sec. Here we go. Oh, shoot. I don't want to annotate. I can annotate a YouTube video. I've never seen this
What?
before in my life. That's so cool.
No, I
I
guess
don't know
we'll
how to
have.
get rid of it. It just came up at the bottom of my screen by the play button. It's a little annotation.
Oh.
College campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot.
Okay, it was right there where he flips his hand over.
Whoa.
You
Wait,
saw it?
no. Well, it goes
Charlie was a
over.
patriot.
No, there's four. See where it's in the front. It's like the index finger goes towards the other side of his thumb there.
So you can do it frame by frame. See that? His pinky is gone right there.
Yeah, but no, but it's like that is his pinky.
Where?
It's just that his index finger is hidden.
No, no, watch this, Dallas. Okay, so you got ring finger, pinky finger
Uh,
disappeared.
yeah. No,
And
I
there
mean
is no
it's
pinky
definitely
finger.
it definitely is like it looks like a little flip glitch.
Yeah,
Like
it's a
it doesn't look
glitch.
like
I
it's
don't know if it's AI,
naturally
but
it's not
his pinky
naturally
finger.
moving, but I'm just saying like when I see that, I'm thinking it looks like the index finger is behind the bird finger.
Boom,
Is it you
boom,
see what I'm
boom, boom,
saying?
boom, 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 boom,
But
boom,
yeah,
boom, boom, boom.
that is a weird
Yeah,
glitch. That's
yeah,
not yeah, that's something
yeah. I
weird.
don't think that that's quite normal. So then
No,
I'll show you one more thing. Then,
that was orcish.
yeah, just that picture of Trump on 9/11. The images. Um, so there, he doesn't look so bad, but some
I
of the
don't know.
other
That's definitely a little
that
Bell's palsy.
droopy. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
about this
definitely
annotate thing. I don't know how to get rid of that. That's
some
really cool. Have
palsy.
you seen this before, this
No,
annotate thing?
no.
I
Is
had
it
no idea. I've always wanted that for the internet, but
you got it off
yeah,
there though?
very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that was a little bit, just a little bit
Yeah.
of the so that was my second question, I think. Was it AI? So
Hmm.
now that you've seen it,
I would say that blurry hand right in the, you know what I'm saying? Like when it's like
Yeah,
that right there, like
yeah,
that's definitely questionable. The
yeah,
like, but just to like freeze frame it and show it one and then show it
hmm,
the other, that
yeah,
just looks like it would be like that. You know what I'm saying?
hmm,
Like that's what
yeah.
that looked like to me, where it's like it's there, but you don't see it now because it's behind the other finger that's
Oh,
bigger.
look, with a
You
blur
know?
screen, I can almost do the same
Yeah,
effect.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But like
yeah, it's glitchy,
The
and
White House has much better cameras than we do here
yeah,
at 2PK.
maybe. I don't know. We are 2PK. We got a big budget here in
Yeah,
Riga,
yeah.
Latvia. Okay,
So
so go
yeah.
ahead.
Well,
Your turn.
my thoughts for today were more around the irony and like it's just really terrifying the response that I've seen, um, and how and the way that Christians, uh, like on a widespread scale, have this like what is called like a complex, you know, where
Oh
it's like
yeah,
they're always being persecuted. They're all, you know, they're always the society's against them, and the way they're carrying on, you would think that they didn't just win the presidency and have, you know, the entire global structure ready to bend to its will.
yeah.
But with this specifically, um, to go from like I can understand that there are people within the left and within the Democratic thing that could um, sort of fit the descriptions that they give, if that makes sense, right? Like wanting to be violent, wanting to destroy family values, wanting to do this or that. But for the most part, what I've found is that it's just a different moral outrage from a different point of view. And I think that's what we all share a lot on social media is this concept of moral outrage.
Hmm.
And that kind of makes a lot more sense if you think about it in these terms because it it doesn't break it down to love and hate, right? So like we all want to sort of break things down into love and hate, and like these are
Hmm.
people
Yeah,
love, and we are only we love children. We're you know like we're doing this from a place of love and this and that, but um, but love and hate together with a moral outrage makes more sense because what's happening and what we're seeing more is that like we all hate the same things much more with much more energy than we love the same things together, if that makes sense, right?
yeah,
And so it's the moral outrage of the right to see transgender people, and certainly such a open, not open, but like a very what would the word be like where it's much more frequent. It's much more of the
accepted,
yeah,
an
but like
accepted lifestyle, accepted way of living
yeah, I
that's
guess
not
more, but it's
hidden,
more
that's
of
not
like a
secret.
it would be more like a social choice or like a choice at the store for a child, rather than the very serious situation that would happen if someone really had traits or the idea that scientifically hermaphrodites exist,
Oh,
right?
kind of
So
people,
it's like they
people
the right
treating it less seriously than maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Right, where it's more of a fashion choice, I guess you would say, right? So it's like you could
yeah,
see that and then like if they're going and they're influenced and like the person that was the school shooter just a couple of weeks ago that was having regrets of going down that path and stuff like that. And so it's like the right has a problem with understanding that science does allow for hermaphrodites and
yeah,
that you might have to have that and if you and if God planted that out there for you to have to decide one way or the other, then that's probably a part of humanity and a part of God's children and a part, you know what I'm saying,
Dallas,
all that kind of stuff.
I gotta back up. I gotta back up just a
Sure.
little bit. So I see, like you're trying to make this. You're talking about the morality and the the difference between the left and the right,
Well,
and
moral
immediately the first,
outrage.
yeah,
Yeah.
the first issue you go to is the issue of trans.
Hmm.
And I did see some guy talking about this, like, why is it that the only people that talk about trans people are conservative people? And the number, it's like 0.2% of the population or something like that. It's like do you know any trans people? Have you met any trans people? How many, do they really impact your life in any way? But
Hmm.
it becomes this bubble of like, this is what we're going to focus on. And even
Hmm.
now in this conversation, we're conversing about this, even though it has nothing to do with anything that affects our life in any way of meaning. But
Hmm.
it's something that they've created as a something to be
Yeah,
morally outraged
a little
about.
bit of a
And it's
boogeyman, a
created
little
this,
bit of something
it
that's
create
very
right, and it
weird and
creates this push on
strange.
both sides, because
Hmm.
then the left has to stand up and say, no, we're fighting for these people, even though we don't know very many of them and they don't really impact our lives either. We're going to fight for them. And it's become this boogeyman of
Hmm.
politics, like trans whatever.
Right.
I still have my, the cat's there
This
to
is
kind of
Tommy.
shift,
Yeah,
bring us
Tommy is coming to steal
joy.
the show.
Hmm.
Um, but
So instead of trans people, we talk about cats or dogs. I don't know. It's like,
well,
I just
the
feel like
point
it's
with that though is that there's no sense of tolerance, right? There's no sense of tolerance. There's no sense of basic
on both sides or just the right.
humanity on both sides. I would say absolutely, and that was like if I was eventually going to get there where it's like the to have a balance of it. Um, like one of the first things that I would have seen, as far as like obviously drag queens, like Milton Berle, any of that stuff that would have been the older versions of things that like that. But
Milton
then
Berle, you are
newer.
going so far deep.
But I mean that's it's human nature. It was that's out there. Um, but like there was an instance where I was in Asheville and we had gone to a concert and then we went to a little family diner after the show and was going to have something to eat and then go home. And I was in there and I was hanging out and it was like this family owned business and they're a restaurant doing everything they can to stay afloat. And this group of guys comes in, and one of them is dressed in a pink uh, tutu, like a ballerina thing, where it was just as
Yeah.
tight as it could be, and it was like, you know, uh, just uh, yeah, pink gauze basically, and makeup all smeared all over his face, like like lipstick
Mm-hmm.
just smeared up and everything, and like it didn't look normal and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even like this is something that someone's dealing with and they're going they want to sort of privately transition into this and that's
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
that's their stuff and that's their genitals and I don't need to touch it kind of thing.
Hopefully
um
not.
but I guess there's because I always feel like there's a better story to be told on with everything that's happened over the last 20 years in politics.
Yeah.
There's a much better story to be told where there's a balance to this stuff and there's things that we're not including in the conversation and we're giving the best traits of every group and it's like the opposite of collective punishment where we're saying okay well this person comes in here and he looks like that and he's clearly going to irritate that family restaurant and the family restaurant's going to be like, no, we don't want this here, and you need to leave, please. Thank
Yeah.
you. We don't want
Yeah.
to serve you. And so, like, I have a really hard time forcing that kind of stuff onto someone. If it's just the color of their skin, then that's a different scenario. That's not behavior, right? That's not
Right.
anything
Right.
that's like moral type of thing. But if it's like that and like I don't think that just like the baking the cake for the gay couple, like I don't feel like it's right to force that onto someone. Just like I wouldn't think if you were a trans or person or LGBTQ cleaning service and a church that was downtown that was actively working against you and hated you and was promoting
Yeah.
all kinds of
You
stuff
go
against
there and you go
that like
there
now
and
they call you up and they're like, no, we want you to come and clean our church. If
yeah.
they would do such a thing, like I don't think that it would like necessarily that you would have to be forced to go and do that. So I don't like the idea of mixing that together because I think that
But
too much of that is
it's
going
such
to
a
cause
slippery
problems.
it's such a slippery slope. And here's the other side of that. And
Right.
I know you're into this a little bit. I don't know I don't. I'm going to open up. I'm going to open this up. I'm just going to throw this out there and see what you say. So the
Go
same
ahead.
thing happens to me with these videos of police brutality,
Hmm.
where if it's a person of color, and I do think police unfairly treat people of color. I've thought that for a long time. I've seen it in my own
Well, there's
experience,
no, yeah, I
whatever.
mean, the history is a fact.
Right. But the videos, it's always at the end of the video, or it's like you don't see what happened before, and then they're mad at this person and he acts all innocent and like he's not doing anything wrong. And I'm just like,
Right.
but what really happened? Like what really set that person off? And they always show the person on the ground. And this happens with not just people of color, but anybody. They show them on the ground and they scream, "I'm not resisting, I'm not resisting." But then you look at their body and they're doing movements. They are
Right.
doing something to resist.
Hmm.
So their verbal language is, I want the camera to hear me say this.
Right.
But then you watch their physical movements and they are doing things to provoke,
Yeah.
like to be pushed down, to be forced down, to be held down,
Right.
and yet they're saying, "I'm not doing this." And it creates, and the problem with that, then it creates this like question. Then you question everything. Then you question all of the situations. Like, well, what really happened with the gay couple that wanted the cake made? Were they just assholes about it? Did they just go in and start being just assholes about it? Were they cool
Well, I
about
mean,
it?
that could have been the like
Anybody.
that could be the best cake shop in town, right?
Right,
And you
right,
want to have the
right,
best
right.
cake
And I
shop in town.
understand that, but
So yeah,
but it
so
just
yeah,
creates these
it's
questions.
a
Then
little
you
complicated
don't.
all the way
We
around.
can't just be like automatic. Like you can't just be automatic. I think that's what you're saying. Like, okay, so the person's a trans person. We have to let them hear. We have to let them do this. No, but they were smelly and violent and dirty, and they were drunk, and they were spouting all this nonsense, and they were annoying. Yes, they got kicked out of the restaurant, but it wasn't just because they were a trans person. It's
Right.
because they had all this other garbage going on around them. It's
Yeah.
like I think we talked about this. I talked about this with someone else. I was like, a homeless person walks into a coffee shop and it's fine, but if that homeless person is really smelly or dirty, or they're being loud or abrasive or annoying, I fully support the owner saying, no, you can't be here. All it
Yeah.
takes is like one, like here in Riga, I was looking at the shop the other day. There's this one homeless person, probably on something, and the police were coming to talk to him, and he was sitting on the step of a business. And I can completely understand that. It seems like we're being so mean to that person, but he's on the step of this business. And if I want to go to that business, I have to walk past him to get inside. And if I've got a choice between two coffee shops, one coffee shop has a homeless guy sitting on the step, smelling dirty, making noises, doing whatever he's doing, and the other coffee shop, the door is open, no one's blocking it, I'm going to go to the other coffee shop. And
Hmm.
I think business owners know that. They don't want that. They
Right.
don't want to have their business damaged because of this person. They want to be compassionate and you want to be
Well, when
kind,
I was
but
growing
once it
up, I remember.
affects you,
Hmm.
yeah,
I
go ahead.
remember the churches not wanting the police or the sheriff's department to be parked in their parking lots and shooting the radar at people driving by and
Yeah,
associating the church
that with the church, yeah, that
with
makes
the cop
sense. Yeah,
giving everybody tickets. And so, but
hmm,
and like, but then it also becomes the other side of that would be collecting as many of them as you can for to concentrate power, right? Um,
collecting as many what as you can.
Police or community leaders and
You
stuff
mean
like that
wanting them
coming.
to come to the church to collect
Mhm.
power? You just shift topics so quickly. You went
Oh,
from the
sorry.
church not wanting the police in their parking lot because they
Mhm.
didn't want to be associated with that, and then boom. But on the other hand, they do want the police associated with the church because then the church gains
Yeah,
power. Is that what you're saying? I just want to
absolutely,
clarify.
absolutely,
But
yeah,
I want you to
because
see how that went two different directions in my mind, and I wasn't ready for it.
well,
So
it's what is it? Duality,
it was
right?
more than duality. It
It's
was it was
duality. Yeah,
plurality.
it's
It was,
plurality for
yeah.
sure. But the duality, this gets to the next point that I was wanting to make, was about the violence. Where can you imagine getting on international live TV from inside the Oval Office or wherever they announced it from,
Yeah.
showing you blowing up a boat with 11 people on
Oh my
there?
gosh.
Nobody knows if those were
Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
drug smugglers or was it
Yeah.
human
Yeah. Yeah.
trafficking or whatever it was. And but still you showed the whole world that you just blew into smithereens, as Pete Hegseth put it, smoked a drug boat.
They say he said smoked, yeah.
He said smoked a drug boat, because that would be the military term I would imagine they'd use, the colloquial. Um, but and then so that was Marco Rubio. Then Hegseth gets on there and they announce the Department of War, and he says, one of he does a whole rap about the whole Department of War, and
Oh, I
one of
saw
them,
that. I saw his rap. That was
we
hilarious.
could show it if you wanted to, but we
Maybe in
didn't
the
really
second
have
half.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but he said maximum lethality,
Yeah.
maximum lethality.
Yeah.
Now, what I saw with the Charlie Kirk situation could absolutely 100% be described as maximum
That was
lethality,
yeah, yeah.
right? So, not only that, but like, if the police are enforcing something, if like, what is war if not political violence, right? It's not
Absolutely.
political violence on your internal fellow citizens' politics,
Hopefully,
but
hopefully.
but it's certainly
Yeah.
political violence where it's
Speaking of that, I want to
you're
share
like I said, the
the
laws where if you're enforcing laws, that's comes from politics,
yeah,
and then there's
yeah,
violence that
yeah.
there he goes.
I mean, we could
Um,
break that down. I mean, that just breaks down society. Like you could go into an hour long speech about
mhm.
that, but just this direct like idea, like everything is based on violence. Our whole
Or the
society is
threat
based on
of.
violence. I used to give this example to my students. When I was teaching rhetoric and argument, I was talking about how violence is inherent in the system. And the example I gave was if a student in my class didn't do what I told him to do, what would happen next? And they say, okay, you give him a detention or whatever. And I say, yeah. And what if he doesn't do the detention? Then you kick him out of the class. And I said, what if he doesn't want to leave? And I say, well, then you get the principal. I said, what if the principal comes and he still won't leave or get up or follow directions? Then what? Then you call a
Well,
security guard. Then the
school
security
resource
guard,
officer.
school resource officer, who's a
Mhm.
policeman,
Yeah,
who's working for the state, and that police officer will ultimately remove that person by force and take them away by force for just refusing to do something in a classroom.
they might
That's
pick the
not
child.
a
They might pick the
law.
child up and body slam
They
that
might, yeah.
child
I don't
on
want to go
camera.
there, but I'm just saying that the ultimate end of not following whatever the system has
Yeah,
decided for us that we need to do, that we're supposed to do, if we don't do that thing, the ultimate end is always going to be violence. And
right.
that's what our system is based on. But I want to share that, speaking of violence. So I just wanted to share the transcript of Trump in his speech. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murders and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. So he's taking the death of Charlie Kirk and expanding it. He's not going to find the person who did it. He doesn't even say we're going to find who did it and punish that person. We're going to go after the organizations. We're going to go after the rhetoric. We're going to go after anybody who contributed to this idea, whatever this concept is.
Right.
So it's basically
Collective
declaring war on the
punishment.
left,
Hmm.
declaring war on the left, any ideology that goes against what they
Yeah.
propose. It's terrifying. And I don't think enough
Like I
people
said in
are talking about how terrifying it is.
right in previous episodes, they're headed for mass graves, where like the left, or the Democrats asking people to fight and fight and fight, 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 and
Yeah.
fighting these particular people, and then some random thing happens that could easily be an inside job, easily, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
it wouldn't take much to connect those dots, and then they're all like flipping on a dime to be like, oh, anti-violence, we must eliminate you all, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's this horrible there's horrible memes going out there everywhere, and it's like it's such a flex thing too, right? Um, like for instance, if you the whole culture of warriors, the whole culture of like going and being a like this big alpha male, and
Hmm.
all of the guns and all of this and that. That's all on the right. Like that's not anyone on the left or the liberals.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
like, one smidgen of a percentage or something like that, but like almost nothing. If tomorrow
Yeah.
the news came out that an American sniper hit an enemy target from, however a mile away or whatever,
Yeah.
it's all celebrated as this heroic event and,
Yeah.
like seeing it as this wonderful thing. That's violence, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the exact
Oh
same
yeah.
violence.
Oh.
It's
Oh yeah.
just sanctioned.
It's the different.
It's
Yeah. Different target.
within the boundaries
Yeah.
of what's acceptable. But it's still violence.
Oh, what? Come
We
on.
shouldn't have
Imagine the
this
tragedy if there was a
disconnect.
boat that was blown up with 11 American citizens on it off
Hmm.
the coast of Florida, and
Right.
11 people,
And
innocent
Cuba,
people,
and
lost their
Cuba
lives.
was like, yeah, we
And
smoked an
here they're not
American
even
boat.
human. Like, we don't even humanize the people in that boat.
Exactly.
We don't know
Exactly.
who they were, who their families were, how many kids they had, what was going on back home, any of it.
Yeah.
It's just 11
And then you
what?
make a martyr out of someone who has said
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
like, let me see if I can find it.
You're going to look for, you got a minute.
Yeah,
Oh, you
it's right
did it.
here. Well, that was the Pete Hegseth
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Empathy is weakness. That was
Um,
the one I saw.
yeah, empathy is weakness. Empathy has ruined Western civilization. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but that seems like one of the core pieces of Christianity and of the message of Christ was
Yeah.
love, 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 love throughout
Yeah.
the New
Yeah.
Testament. What has
Yeah.
happened is everyone's going back to the Old Testament. And I don't know if you've noticed or
Like
not,
eye for an eye,
well,
tooth
Israel,
for a tooth.
right? They
Yeah.
can bomb Bethlehem into rubble, and none of the Christians have a peep to say about that
Yeah.
because they really aren't Christians. They don't have any kind of semblance of anything that really is connecting them to the core of the
Other than
tenets
the
of
name, other than
Christianity.
the word and the
Yeah, yeah,
symbols and
yeah.
the,
It's a cult.
yeah.
It's a white Christian culture. So
They
here it
shall
is,
surely be put to death. Their blood is upon them. Yeah.
quoting scripture, calling for the execution of gay people, wanting gay people.
Welcome back, Dallas. Part two of our special Friday edition of 2PKs. I see you have a meme you wanted to share, and then I got something I want to say. So go ahead, share.
Yeah. Well, this is from the Star Spangled Anger account, Proud American Patriots,
Yeah.
62,000 followers.
Yeah.
And they're saying if the bullshit doesn't come to a halt, you will see 83 million gun owners walk out of their homes like this.
So
And
a call to arms.
yeah, call to arms. And like it's just absolutely ridiculous that they would think that that's not a threat of violence,
Well,
right?
the
And
I'm looking at
aggress.
the Gage Dupree on here, who said the Second Amendment was made for moments like this with an American flag. Moments like
Yeah,
what? What do they
exactly.
think that? What do they think the Second Amendment was for? The Second
Exactly.
Amendment was for if the government or a foreign power tries to take over your country, then you can fight back against them. That's what the Second Amendment is for. It is not for whatever they think this is.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
crazy.
and like with all the school shootings,
Yeah,
with
three kids killed the same time Charlie Kirk was killed.
yeah,
By the
and
way,
with
that's not.
all the gang violence, with all of the stuff, if anything, at this moment in time, you have channels like TYT and that would like to think that they represent the progressive movement, uh, being chummy with Charlie Kirk and doing uh, events with him and trying to share the stage and
The Young
wanting to,
Turks.
yeah, yeah, Cenk
I had no
Euchre,
idea.
where like it was like
Well,
a
I just saw
historic
Bill Maher had
rivalry.
him on too.
Yeah, it was a historic rivalry.
Yeah,
Um, and it's like not to celebrate in it because you wouldn't want to make yourself a monster or like, erode away at your own soul by being like happy that, someone had that happen to them, in that
right.
way.
Yeah,
But to immediately turn around and say, okay, well, this is clearly a act of some where they're declared war on us,
Yeah.
but where it's like a bunch of people who are essentially like most of the time just college freshmen,
Yeah. You
where
could take
college
this,
freshmen can come
take
in.
this down. Yeah. It goes to what I said, like, I said this before, but I'll say again, was that we don't know who killed Charlie Kirk. We don't know who the assassin was. We don't have a motive. We don't have any information. There's some images, blurry guy jumping off a roof, this and that, and the other thing.
Which
But the strangest
could
part of the whole thing is that a person gets shot and killed, and immediately millions of people know why that person not deserved to die, but was targeted to
mm,
die by some other person. So you've said so many hateful, horrible, despicable things that there is absolutely no question in their minds. Your followers, your fans, the people who loved you, the people who followed you, they know exactly who wanted you dead
right,
because you're saying things that are that hateful and despicable. And they know that.
right.
They know that. That's the thing I can't understand. It's like Donald Trump just went immediately to the left are the people who killed Charlie Kirk. We don't know that. We don't know who killed him. We don't know who did this. But
Hmm.
immediately their minds are blaming the people that he's victimized for years. Because
Well,
if you're punching
no,
a kid in the face at school every day and then somebody kills you, they're going to suspect that kid that you've been beating on. Doesn't mean he did it,
right.
but it's just so obvious to them in their minds. All right, I do want to get on one thing. Are you gonna
Well,
pull up the
but
Hegseth?
it's the irony
Oh,
though
go
of
ahead.
where it's the opposite reaction that they have to every other school shooting, and this was, technically a school shooting. It was
Oh
just
yeah,
a different
it was
type
on a
of school.
college campus.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a school, and right at
yeah,
the beginning of school season.
yeah,
And so it's another school shooter, and then they're ready to turn around and collectively punish their political opposition. But then when there's a school shooting and everyone wants to collectively go and turn around and take everyone's guns, they're ready to go and strap up and
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
put all
yeah.
the tanks on
Can't.
the street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Of course,
it's it's
it's
it's
always who,
just
which side are you on, and whose side are you on,
well,
and
it's kind of like I've saw it a long time ago where it's the media was following social media and then whatever was popular in social media would come into the news cycle and it
yeah.
just seems schizophrenic to where it's
Oh
like
well, yeah.
social media is like
They're
you
just trying to
open
get followers, and yeah.
it's like the
I
it's like
wanted.
the phone book has come to life and you're like whoa,
The phone book. See, you make these references to things that people just don't even know what they are anymore. The phone book.
yeah.
Speaking of that, I wanted to say, like, for people, for anybody watching this or who's watching this from Latvia, I don't think they know who Charlie Kirk is. And I had this conversation with a couple people. I mentioned, I said I'm kind of upset. I had this like I didn't sleep last night because this American, I don't even know what to call him, an influencer. I don't know what you call him. What is his official title? Like
um
what was what would you call him?
political
He wasn't an analyst,
no, it would be like activist. I mean, he's
a
definitely
political
an activist.
activist.
He's
Oh,
definitely an
that's pretty
activist.
good. Yeah.
I was thinking
So
about
so I was
how
trying to explain to them.
he's a result of the George Bush faith-based policies, where if he
I
was
was
born
trying to
in 93.
I was trying to explain to the Latvians who Charlie Kirk was and why it was an important thing. They have no idea.
Hmm.
Like they first of all, they don't know who he is. Second of all, the context for a person like that in this country does not exist.
Hmm.
We don't have that kind of division where you could become a millionaire and have millions of followers and become this huge influential figure just by spouting one side or the other. And in the United States, we have this cauldron of hate and separation and division that you can
Hmm.
literally become a star just by saying what people want to hear, just by repeating hateful epithets that other people agree with, and you can gain this
Exactly.
following and gain this power. And for here
Exactly.
it's hard to even explain. I couldn't find the words to really put it in context
And
in a Latvian context.
if someone kills that one person, they're ready to put all of these other people literally in mass graves right now. Like
Yeah, yeah,
there's no doubt about it.
yeah. I mean, what's the equivalent here? And I say this clip before, but the Swedish or the EU Parliament, one of the right-wing Swedish people said, "Let's have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk." I'm like, they don't even know who he is. Like,
Hmm.
I doubt many people in the EU Parliament have ever heard that name before, have any idea until this happened. Like that, they might have saw some news pop up and then read about it, but they don't have a context for that.
Yeah.
And yet this right-wing Swedish guy was able to, even bring it into Europe now, this hateful rhetoric, this idea of this, this division and divide, and it's just
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. It's
So I wanted
but
you to, so I wanted you to give me a minute.
his
Go
organization
ahead.
Turning Point USA
Oh yeah.
branched out into Europe. And so they were trying to do something where all of the where like what it started with when I saw it first was a cousin here in Latvia showed me a picture where it showed like a father and a son going out hunting, and it was talking about how there should be more open gun rights and stuff like that, and more, so that you had rights to have guns, and
Yeah.
showing it as hunting. And I told him, I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Like that picture looks like me and my dad going out hunting, right? Like as
Yeah.
classic as Andy Griffith and Opie
Yeah.
walking down with the fishing poles. But they're using that to make it where everybody has guns no matter what, and has arsenals
Where was this?
that's just pouring out of their closets and stuff,
Where
with
where were they
no
doing this at?
responsibility whatsoever
Where were they doing this?
here in Latvia.
Oh yeah, because
So the
that's
Turning Point USA, what tried to basically put well, I think it was school curriculum. Like there was an actual curriculum that was being sent out into European
oh
schools
wow.
to start to adopt his mindset into these European things.
Oh
Now,
my
what was
gosh.
his mindset? First of all, he was very specifically against, he would say America first as it relates to Israel, and that we shouldn't be sending there into that. He said
Yeah.
that abortion was worse than the Holocaust, right? So, and then Laura Loomer gets on there last week and goes on this huge diatribe on X about how he's a traitor, basically, and that he's a charlatan using this thing around Donald Trump, but then throwing Donald Trump under the bus and wanting to have it both ways and play both sides of the aisle and this and that. So, what I'm saying very specifically is that if you want to look for motives, like there's been 20 years or 15 years or whatever for the progressives to see who he was and to take action if they were going to. But their philosophy is completely the opposite. They don't want to have guns. They don't want to do any of. They want to peacefully protest. They want to be the victims so that
Who are they?
the progressives and the liberals, they
Oh
would be
yeah, yeah.
want to be set up to be just like in the civil rights, where you would know you would go into a protest to be beaten back, to be hit with the hoses, to be hit with the
Yeah,
dogs,
the
to be all of
passive
these things,
resistance.
because that's going to create
Peaceful.
the images that
Yeah.
go and like gets the hearts and minds. Well, that don't work
Yeah.
anymore, right? Like that is not
Well, I don't
working,
know.
and it has not worked for a long time. I like who's going to come? Who's coming to anyone's defense if those images go out?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that
That's
doesn't
yeah.
happen. So they're only if those leaders are doing that to those people, they're doing them a grave injustice, and that blood will be on their hands.
Wow. That's pretty dark, D. I
And
wanted to
that's
back up. I wanted to
simple as
back up a little bit on just talk about Latvian gun rights, because a
yeah.
lot of people ask about that back home. Like, what are
Okay.
the
Uh-huh.
situation here? And I remember when I first got here, I went to a gun shop and I asked them, I said, what's the deal? How do I get a gun? They kind of explained it to me. It's not, you can have a gun here. Anybody can have a gun here as long as you're over, I think, 21, and you have to pass a police background check, a mental health check, and then you train to shoot the gun so you actually know what you're doing, and then you can have a gun. So you
Hmm.
can legally own guns here. Handguns are a little harder to get. You have to do a little more training, a little more background, but you can buy a handgun too. So it's not that guns are illegal. It's just that people don't really want them unless they need them for
Hmm.
something like hunting. And there's just very few guns. So we just don't have any shootings here. They're just not ubiquitous. They're not everywhere. But it's not like they're illegal. I think a lot of Americans have this mistaken notion that, oh, Europe isn't free because you can't have guns. No, you can have guns. Switzerland has lots of guns. Finland has lots of guns. People know how to shoot. They learn how
Mhm.
to, they train, they go out and shoot and they hunt and they use the guns for what the guns were meant for. Where in the United States, it's more of like a hobby, you have a showcase. I went to my friend's house and he just had a locker full of guns and he's showing me like their
Mhm.
toys. I'm like, this is not normal. His kids are just watching this, and I'm just like, what, cocking these guns and this and that.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like a showcase. It's like
there's
some
two
sort of
sides of it.
it's an obsession.
There's responsible gun ownership. And then, throughout the 80s, we would have where you'd have the locks, put the locks on the guns, on the trigger locks. But that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense because if somebody breaks into your house, then you're like looking for a key to try to get this, and like just so if it's there for self-defense in that way and you need it, it's not gonna be effective in the moment. But but then like I used to work on houses a lot, and I went to one house, and it was in the basement. They had a like an old like a small gun cabinet that you would get from like
Mhm.
Kmart or Walmart, or or
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
Depot or
Yeah.
whatever. But it was really small, and
Or Park Life.
I
Park
get
Life make those, you think?
I don't know, maybe, Parkland. Yeah, maybe I don't.
Parkland.
You might get one every now and then.
Your
Certainly a
Parkland
safe.
gun safe.
Probably they probably have the
Yeah.
gun safe.
Yeah.
But this would more was one of the wooden ones, that was kind of maybe had the glass case so you could see what was going
Yeah.
on, and you could fit like six or eight gun rifles in the top and
Rifles. Like, yeah, I
doors.
know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like this classic looking thing. So they were all in there, done, and then they were leaning all against the gun cabinet all around it, and then spilling out into the floor all around it. And it was like, what is this? Like, you don't like you don't care about the guns. You don't, because like we would oil them, like keep them really safe and dry, and then,
Hmm.
all these
Yeah. Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
the humidity right and all that kind of stuff. Um, and then you go over there and you're just seeing them spilling out, and it's like anyone could just walk up, and or like everyone could, right? Because there's enough for everyone. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's enough for
that's
everyone.
where that count gets really high, where we have the 300 million or whatever
More
gun
guns than
more
people. Yeah.
more guns than people. Um, but yeah, so it's just a wild thing where again it goes into where there's no one group that is a monolith. You're not going to be able to say this group is like this, because that's not going to be the impression that other people have of those individuals, right? If that's not how they behave. So it
Yeah.
becomes this thing where it's not true, just like the message of violence, where it's like you can't tell us and threaten us all with violence all the time in every possible way, and trying to stop the violence of Russia and stop the violence of this, but having to use violence to do so. Um, you can't do that, as it creates the cognitive dissonance, you know?
Yeah. That we're all living in this field of cognitive dissonance for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's do you have the Hegseth rap? You promised in the
Do
second half.
have the Hegseth rap. Let's see.
Have they put it to music yet? So just while you're getting that up, we got 393 million guns according to ChatGPT, maybe even up to 450 million guns in the United States. So
Hmm.
that's
Sure. Well, and then
120
you've got them
guns,
all in
1.2
stock.
guns per person, 1.2 guns per person.
Yeah. I mean, like there's the factories are making them. So, right. So there would be a stock somewhere
Oh yeah.
where, so you got some that are just like not even really being counted as owned,
Oh,
but
and I don't know if
they're there.
I don't know if I brought this up last week, but they another irony is that so they thought that a school shooting would make gun sales drop off because people wouldn't want to buy guns because of the school shooting, and the exact opposite happened. What they found was every school shooting, gun sales tick up. So I'm sure
Mhm.
after this Charlie Kirk episode, your stock in Smith and Wesson shot up a little bit because people are going to stock up on more guns and bullets and killing devices after a
Mhm.
violent event rather
Right.
than thinking, oh, that was pretty awful. Maybe I don't need it. No, it's the exact opposite. All
Yeah.
right, let's see the Charlie Kirk.
But that's
Charlie
that's the
Kirk.
logistics of this, right?
I know
It's
it's
like where it's like
insane.
that's where it's crazy that for 20 years, the one side has been trying to voluntarily disarm, where it was like
Yeah.
like eventually, if only one side of that equation has all the guns, you're gonna be owned. Like you're gonna be like you're gonna feel that barrel shoved into your back, marching you down to your mass grave. Um, so yeah, here we go. Let's go to the Hegseth. Right, this is a whole compilation that they put out for the Department of War changeover, and
Hmm.
which is actually an official nickname for more
Oh
irony.
yeah,
The
that's
world, we have the
hilarious.
greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far.
This name change is not just about renaming, it's about restoring. At your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct.
Yo, I
Is that
didn't
like an
even
advertisement?
I didn't even catch that. That's his rap. That was his rap where
Yeah.
he was hip
Yeah.
hop.
But
And
it's been edited with this music and sweeping kind of.
yeah. That's
I thought you were going to
they
show
put
me
it out.
him like making fun of him or putting it to music or
No, no,
something. But
this is exactly what this was the official thing.
all right.
Violent
Fact. Yeah. Yeah.
effect and not
Okay.
politically correct.
Yeah.
Now I'm supposed to take all of these people seriously that are now out there talking about there's no space whatsoever for violence in our
Yeah.
society and our political discourse or any
Yeah,
of this
when
and
they're
that.
preaching violence. I got some breaking news for you,
Attitude,
Dallas.
this is a very core tenet of business. Attitudes come from the top down.
Yeah, go ahead.
Leadership,
You
the
close
clergy,
this.
all of that. Attitudes come from the top down.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it's a very, very simple thing from where if your boss acts a certain way, it trickles down through the rest of the
Absolutely.
organization.
As pastors kids, we know. We've
We
seen
know
that in full effect.
we were the first influencers, Jeff. We were the
I
first
well, you
influence.
say that. I think my father was an influencer. I don't know if we were the
No, but
influencers.
in our generation, right? And I'd say
Oh,
Charlie Kirk has very strong youth pastor energy.
oh,
He does
totally.
like
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe a little preacher's kids energy, but it's like nah,
Yeah.
he's got youth pastor energy, and
Yeah.
that's where he's
Yeah.
got this huge following of the youth. So like he very
Yeah.
clearly is that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, I want to say about PKs being the influencer. This is you brought this up last time. I don't want to tell a quick story about that. So I didn't know what PK was. I had never heard that word growing up. I didn't have any idea until I went to college,
hmm
university. Somebody said, "Oh, you're a PK." I said, What's a PK?" A pastor's kid. I'm like, what does that mean? And then there's this whole rhetoric around being a pastor's kid. But I grew up in a small town as a pastor's kid, and not once did anybody ever say, "Oh, you're a PK or you're a pastor's kid," and it had this kind of meaning to it. I always knew I was a
you
pastor's
didn't
kid.
have to hear preachers' kids are the worst.
Yeah, I never.
That was
We were the worst. We were the
yeah.
worst. Our whole family was the worst.
Well, you know
But
how like
I didn't know there was a connection. I didn't know it was a whole. I thought it was just our family. I
yeah.
didn't know there was a whole. Like I could have had a group. Like I could have like in
Yeah,
today's world,
there
I
is.
could go on Reddit and find PKs
Yeah.
and have other people to share stories with.
There is
But
an
at the time,
association. There is an
yeah,
association
growing
basically
up
for
back
group
then, I had
therapy.
no idea that this was a part of my identity.
Right,
That being
right.
a PK
Was
was
something.
why maybe I was this way and being
Right.
but influencer. I just thought that was so fascinating, that influencer thing.
hmm
Oh, breaking news, Dallas. The Supreme Court of Brazil just sent their former president Jair Bolsonaro to prison for 27 years for inciting an insurrection after losing his election.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Bolsonaro.
they did not cave
Bolsonaro.
to DJT.
Right.
They
Right.
actually, yeah,
The larger system didn't. Where
yeah.
there that was certainly a small victory for justice, I guess you'd
But
say,
good
and
luck getting
stability.
Brazilian guns in America now. They're going to be 50% more or whatever the tariff is that the Trump threatened to threaten them with if they
Mhm.
didn't free Bolsonaro.
Right, right.
Did he follow through on that? Was that one he dropped, or did he follow through on that?
I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with most of that. I've just know I would see it coming and then be like, you know, that's going to play out one way or the other. He's kind of setting it up to as that negotiation kind of thing of, you
So
know,
on
expecting it from
7/30,
them.
let's see, in July, end of July, Trump puts 50% tariff on Brazil. Um, but I don't see anything more recent, like if he actually did it, because it's all a month ago. So, but I guess.
You know,
So we
um,
got a 50% tariff on all Brazilian goods because of this. But they didn't cave. They did it anyway. So very good job. Proud of Brazil. All right, what else you got, sir?
well,
On our special
I've got
Friday edition.
the rest of the quotes here of Charlie Kirk so that we know exactly who we're uh talking about and that
Hmm.
we're not just, you know, going off of something where like a vibe, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's actually what the things that he said. And one was calling for the death of homosexuality, to
Yeah.
be put to death and stone them. So again, back to the
Where is
Old
this? Oh,
Testament.
this is from Chat GPT.
Yeah, yeah. Was in
So you
Leviticus.
trust we can trust this source.
I mean,
I don't like the
to
third
pull
one where you
from
have the
Kirk.
ellipses.
Yeah. Um, and
But I
then
know he was.
equating black professionals with incompetence.
Yeah, I
With
saw
the
that one.
DEI, so he doesn't like when he
That
sees
was
a
so
black
gross.
pilot, he's going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. And so really what he represents more than anything is a legacy of the KKK. There's no other um, description for what is going on there. You can't
Yeah.
go out there with that rhetoric and then incite that type of um, hatred among people and like it's like all like simply a hate monger. There's a word for
Oh
it. It's
yeah.
hate monger, and that's what he's
Yeah.
doing. He is trading in the world of hate because he knows all these people are going to hate these people, and he hates them
Hmm.
genuinely himself. I'm sure he did.
Yeah. A lot of coded language, a lot of
Mhm.
even not coded language.
Democrats stand for everything God hates.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because Jimmy Carter wanting to do Habitat for Humanity and build and help build people affordable homes and help them get into homes so that they weren't homeless was everything God hates. Feeding
Yeah.
the homeless,
Yeah.
housing
Well,
providing
do you
some
have the one about
medicine.
do you have the one he said about not giving kids free lunches? Because that was a big one that came up too. Like
No, I was
somebody
looking for
asked
the
him, "Don't you
most
think
extreme.
this was one though that came up? Do you think kids deserve to have free lunch?" He says,
Okay.
"Absolutely not. Absolutely not." It was like this just instantly against kids having free lunch.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering, Dallas, while we're on this topic, so we're saying he's a hate monger, and yeah, there it is. He said all these mean and evil things about these groups of people. So what was he for? So if we were to say like this is the Charlie Kirk's perfect world, what does that look like?
Well, when someone says no school should be feeding kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's the role of the parents, not the state. Does he also include the church in that or thing, or are they
Oh
trying
yeah,
to?
church shouldn't feed people either. Yeah,
Yeah,
clearly it's
right,
the
exactly.
parents. Individuality.
Or are you trying to take it from the secular, non associated, non-affiliated, sort of free society, equal support for everyone, and then take that and put it into the church? Again, the concentrating the power of local leaders and in local law enforcement and that kind of stuff inside your church will make it where you're not opening it up for everyone anymore. You're opening it up for the people that qualify within your religious qualifications. And
Yeah,
that's where it looks like the larger culture has gone. And again, a product of George W. Bush's faith-based initiatives going into that because there was nothing about Christianity that would have even remotely been able to spew this stuff
no,
in the
no.
80s
And
and
I asked
90s.
I asked my chat GPT a little bit about this, and he said that religion and the church for Charlie Kirk were more of a political force than like
Hmm.
actual Christian values. Like he said that the poor are poor because they have bad values, or
Hmm.
they don't deserve money because they're bad people. That kind of thing. It's just very much this. So back to my question. So what is his perfect world? What is his? I don't want to see the shooting.
It's not. No, this is not.
Oh,
This is something about reparations.
because somebody else pointed out like the massive trauma that we all went through because we saw it
Right.
happen, even if you didn't want to see it, even if
Hmm.
you weren't looking for it, it just popped up on your feed.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Well,
and then there's this
Facebook is
moment of
kind of
like,
wide open right now where they showed me, and there was a short little story that came through, and I'm clicking through, and there was this large steel door, and these children are walking up, and they walk up, and that steel door flattens those children, and you
oh
don't
my
and, like
god,
you don't see it, but it's
what
like
the
that
where was that?
they just disappear, and it was clear that that giant steel door just flattened those.
Where?
It was
What?
somewhere. It was in some
Where?
other. It was in some other country, like maybe India
Oh
or
my god.
some other country where it was different. You know, it was like
But you saw death. That's the
the
thing, is we
streets
see
were a little
death now.
dirtier, and yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like this giant steel door that would have looked like something out of, like something from another country.
Yeah, all
Um,
right, get to
and
this what you're
so
showing me here.
so I
What we
reported that and
oh
told them what had happened. And
yeah,
this is not the first time something like this has come up. Facebook responds back, this does not violate our community standards.
9 minutes 11 seconds left.
So then appeal that and say, no, I don't think so. Like that may be AI. Let's let a human see that and
Yeah,
and agree with me that that was death, and it was
yeah.
only that. And so, but Mark Zuckerberg doesn't care right now. So
No,
yeah,
nobody. Yeah.
let's see what he's got to say about reparations for Black people.
Oh,
Should black people get reparations?
I believe they should.
So I, white man, have to play for black people. Why?
Wow, that's a really selfish thing you
No,
just said.
hold on. Why should I have?
That's a really non-empathetic thing to
Wait,
say.
why should I have empathy for a race? I have white guilt because I breathe? Why should the white students here have to work harder to pay for black kids?
You wanted to ask
What is that all about?
Not every black
Confederates.
person has lineage connected to slaves.
That's
and
true.
every white person doesn't have lineage connected to slaves.
Yes, that's right. So since every black person doesn't have a lineage connected to slaves, why should we generalize and say reparations for black people?
Because there are people that are in a worse place.
So over 150 years, they didn't have any ability to make better decisions, to save money, and to invest. How about you take responsibility for your own actions instead of blaming the white? Should black people?
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, it's great. It's brilliant rhetoric.
So
I got some more good news. Dallas.
mhm.
In the UK, Starmer. That's his name, Starmer.
Oh yeah, and the ambassador. They got rid of the
They
ambassador.
fired the ambassador because
And
he was
why?
on the Epstein list.
Uh-huh. And now
Yeah.
what with Charlie Kirk, nobody's talking about Epstein. Nobody's talking about the Venezuelan boat situation. Now
Yeah.
some people are,
Yeah.
but it's not,
It'll come back.
right there
Epstein
on
will come back. The Senate
oh,
voted
it's
not
there.
to, by one vote. By one vote is what I heard.
Hmm.
They voted not to release all the files.
Hmm. Just in time. Just
Yeah.
in time to put that pressure.
That day,
Yeah.
in the middle of the
Hours.
night again.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just
It's
so
a very dangerous time we're living in.
transparent.
I know.
Yeah.
And then Marco Rubio is talking about how he's going to ban foreigners that are making light of the Charlie Kirk assassination and stuff. It's like, what does that even mean? Like there's so much of this stuff that has no meaning whatsoever.
Rhetoric.
Just that it's like gets that thing going. And like it's just further destabilization.
Yeah. And just reading, like every time I see that card that Trump wrote to Epstein, it's like, how could that, how could he be the
Mhm.
president? How could we let that happen? To ignore all the red flags and all the horrible things that he's done in the past and still just,
Well,
anyway.
it's like anything else. It's a very conscious decision that the media on a widespread scale is making. because they can start to push the narrative across, and then if you're only going with the left or the right, you're going to have a pretty dramatic shift when that thing shifts, right? It's not going to be normal. And right now, that like a lot of this stuff is so untethered to reality that that's one of the more dangerous aspects of it, where it doesn't matter what's real, it doesn't matter what's true. People are going to go out there and create a situation that's, you know, just violent and
Yeah.
dangerous.
We could we could like do a whole thing on the way the media normalizes what is just absolutely not normal at all. Like just the language that they use to describe things happening. Like what was it? It was like instead of saying somebody's lying, they'll just say like misrepresentation or
Mhm.
something like that. It's like, no, the person's clearly just lying about this, and yet the media refuses just to call out these
I just
absolutely blatant
I just saw
things.
something on German news, the DW News, Deutsche Welle. The
Yeah.
guy is interviewing an expert on uh, U.S. domestic stuff, politics,
Hmm.
and he's an American. And he says, well, the anchor asks, well, why is this the case? Or why, like, I'd have to push back on you saying that's hateful rhetoric because he's just having a discussion and openly debating and actually respectfully debating these other people. And it's like that's there's nothing respectful about going up there with that attitude
Hmm.
to be a hate monger, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is respectful about a hate monger that is
Yeah.
like sitting there like snarkily doing that? And now, like, you can go and upset any white person talking about reparations because that is a very touchy subject, and poor white people don't want to hear nothing about it, right? And
Hmm. Yeah.
I've been in situations very directly where I've had school counselors tell me very directly they were only worried about black people, black students getting into college. They weren't in and like trying to dig all into my family history and stuff like that. So I understand where some of that imbalance can be there, and
Hmm.
can be obviously like it can be real or not real, but I
Hmm.
understand where it can really be there, because again, you're talking about black or white, and it's going to be a hard shift. But the idea of reparations, while there's trillions being printed out, there's billions, there's cryptocurrencies that are becoming whatever, and you can't figure out a way in the last 200 years, 400 or whatever, or in the last, let's say, 50 years, you couldn't figure out a way to find every one of those American descendants of slavery or ADOS. You
Hmm.
couldn't pinpoint those people and that lineage like they have very
Hmm.
specifically, and then come up with some kind of equation that looks backwards and says there's some value there, and
Hmm.
let's take it from over here and put it into this. It's
Yeah.
there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're sloshing around $100 trillion in the whole economy every day,
Yeah.
it like a little bit of something like that wouldn't be bad.
It would go a long way
And then you
into
don't have
repairing some of
it,
the
yeah, it would
historical damage.
neutralize one
Yeah.
side of the argument,
I don't think it
but
would
the other
neutralize
side would
everything, but it would help a lot.
it
Yeah.
would,
Well,
and
it's the same thing
it
here. I
would
don't
be
know if
more
you know this
fair.
about Latvia, but Latvia and the other former Soviet states, after it broke apart, they went to Russia and said, we want reparations. And Russia won't even admit that it did anything wrong. There's no healing moment there to say, yeah, we screwed your country over, and here's
Mhm,
some, at least just we're sorry. No, no,
mhm,
we saved you. We were the heroes. We made your lives better, and all this kind of garbage rhetoric. So it's kind of like that too. Like you hear, especially now with the white supremacists, like talking about slavery was a good thing, and the slaves were treated well, and they learned skills and this and that. And it's like, oh my God, what is
mhm,
wrong with these people?
mhm.
Um, yeah. Anyway, we got a minute left. You
We
want to
do
wrap
have
it
a
up with
minute
something
left, and I
since
want
we're
to,
on this deep topic?
and again, like I said, there's a better story to be told. And part of that story
Ebony
is in
and
this book.
Ivy.
And in this book, they break down the history of all of these other countries coming into America, and then the kings and the clergy and like the churches that are associated with those kingdoms coming over, where there was Spain,
Hmm.
and but with England specifically, setting up King's College that later became Columbia, and
Hmm.
Harvard, and all of that tapped into the slave industry, and created
Less
the
than a minute,
whole
Dallas.
college endowment scenario. This one right here breaks down where the very first debates of the ending of slavery were done by white students at
Okay, we're gonna run out of time, so I'm just gonna say
the
thank you for
University
the
of
recommendation,
Georgia.
book recommendation, and then
Yeah,
join the Dallas book club, and we'll see you next time on
it's like
two
two.
PKs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
thanks,
right.
buddy.
Yep, yep.
Take care of yourself
You too, man. Thanks.
with your fish.
That's Ebony and Ivy by Craig Stephen Wilder.